All right, so we got another question that came in. It's a bit of a deep one. It's titled, "About to lose our home because we can't afford the bills." So it's anonymous, so he or she says, "My mental health is rock bottom. I go to school hungry because my parents can't afford to put food on the table. Both lost their jobs recently and are relying on universal credit. We owe money, bills are going up, and my mum pretty much had a breakdown because we face losing our home that we've had for years. I cry most nights as well. My dad had to sell things just to buy food for us sometimes." Then they say, "How is this fair? I'm not old enough to get a job. My work at school is suffering. I've got anxiety. We even wrote to our local MP asking for help and answers. Does anyone else have advice?"
Wow.
Yeah, it's heavy.
I think the first thing I say is shame on the school that this child goes to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, listen, schools have money. And I'm not saying that the school can fund the family's life. That's not what I'm saying. But give the child... The fact that a child is saying that he goes to school hungry, that's outrageous. Give the child food.
Mm.
Like... If you care about the students like you say you do, you'll find a way to help out. And again, you can't help the family because you can't help every family, but you can feed the child, whether it's and I'm not saying big fry up, little bagel in the morning. Because actually, if the child is coming to school hungry, you can't learn. Right? Because you can't, it's scientifically proven that you need food to have energy and energy to learn, for your brain to function properly. Right? So the first thing I'd say is shame on the school. I have a child that I've taught a child that in 10 years' time he could very well be writing the same message. And I look at the child and sometimes I just sit down with the child and have a chat. And the child is, at this stage in life, the child is fairly happy. Horrible home life. But the child's happy. Because his mum's there, his dad's there, he comes to school, he has fun, he goes home, he might get a new toy. And life is pretty simple. But as you get older and you start to see, actually that's not right. Actually that's a problem. Why don't we have food in the fridge? When you're born and you grow up and you're young, it's just normal because that's how you've grown up. But you get to a certain stage or age in life and you realise actually these things are problems. And I can see this child, hypothetically speaking, but writing the same message that we've got here, the same question that we've got here. And I've had, because of where I teach, where I have taught predominantly poor families come to my school. So I've had these kind of conversations with other teachers, and it's a very harsh reality that you've got to find a way out. However and I guess that's where children then turn to drug dealing, prostitution, and all those different types of things. That's that's where you can turn to it, because you think, well, I need to find a way out of this problem. So let me just try X, Y, Z until everything's okay. Or let me help mum out, let me help dad out. But I think it's the reason, and maybe not your parents, but the reason maybe your great-grandparents, or the reason your family's in this situation because of your great-great-great-grandparents' mentality, and maybe it's a thing that's just gone through the family. Poverty maybe has just gone through the family. But especially the day and age we live in now, we have access to so many things in terms of the internet, educating ourselves, finding ways to make money. I mean, I don't know, this child has said they're too young to get a job. I don't know how old the child is. But when I didn't grow up in a poor family, but when I was 14, 15, I had a paper round. I was too young to get a job, like a contracted job, but I went and got a bit of change on a weekend. You've got to see. You might go to a barber shop and say, look, I've got a problem and I need some change. Can I sweep hair on a Saturday and get a tenner? Do you know what I'm saying? And that, I think that's the beginning, because a tenner's not going to solve your family's problems. Yeah. But a tenner is just, or just sweeping the floor. After a year of sweeping the floor, you might think, and then you've got however much money you have saved. Do you know what? I might be able to do this now. And sweeping the floor, like I say, is only the beginning. Paper round for me was only the beginning. I was in year 11 and I was working at Tottenham Football Stadium, just serving in the boxes and restaurants. And then I went to sixth form, and I remember the day before I started sixth form was my first shift working at the perfume shop. Not many people in my sixth form were working, hardly any. But I had started working from so young, 14, 15, that was the beginning. And I know it's very different, because like I said, I didn't grow up in a poor family, so it wasn't like I had to work to help my mum and dad. That's not what it was. It was just building a work ethic. But the hope is that you might start by sweeping, and I just use that as an example. You might start by sweeping a barber's floor, and depending on how badly you need money or need change, you do. You know what I'm saying? You'd sweep. Some teenagers, I'm not sweeping old barber's floor. Who do you think I am? Some kind of joke, man. Well, listen, if you need. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If your situation is as bad as you're saying it is, you've got to do something, you know? And it will start with sweeping the floor, and after a year, 2 years, you might then start a barber course. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got to take a step in some direction. Yeah. Because unfortunately, the government is not going to help you.
Straight.
Unfortunately,
Facts.
The school cannot fund your family's issues.
Big facts.
And you've got to take a step in some direction, whether that's paper round, sweeping hair on the hairdresser's floor, whatever you've got to do, you do it, you save up some money, and listen, in 40 years' time, your children shouldn't have to go through the same thing that you went through. Yeah. And then in 100 years' time, your great whatever won't have to go through the same thing that you went through, because you took a step in a direction. And I know exactly that. I know very strongly that what I'm saying is easier said than done. But this is life.
Yeah, it's still got to be done.
It's got to be done. A lot of things are easier said than done, but not everything is easy. You know, and you've got to take that hard step. Go and talk to someone. Listen, I'm in this situation and I need this. Because, and this is very harsh, and I hope people take this the right way, but a lot of sometimes it can be self-pity. You don't do anything because you feel sorry for yourself. And I tell you what, I completely understand why you feel sorry for yourself if that's the case. If you're going to school hungry, dad's having to sell things, you don't have food in the fridge. I understand why you feel sorry for yourself. I get that. But you can't stay like that. You know? You can't stay in the same place for the rest of your life, because then your kids will be in the same position and you'll feel guilty that your kids have to go through the same thing that you went through, you know?
Yeah.
So, I know I've said a lot, but a step in some kind of direction. And you may step in a direction and it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depending on how bad you want it, take a step in another direction. You know?
Yeah, a few things. The first is just how critical, and we said in another pod, these soft skills, man. Like, a lot of life is actually the soft skills rather than the hardcore education. Like,
do you want to just explain or give an example of soft skills?
Yeah, like, for example, in this situation, when you mentioned I'd go and sweep, but you obviously used it as an example, sweeping the barber's floor. Now, that's not going to be advertised. You're going to have to go and ask.
Yeah.
And when you ask, you're going to have to ask in a way that doesn't seem entitled. Like, oi, can I have a... Oh, what do you mean? No? Like, you're going to have to talk in a way that is like, look, this is my situation. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Please. No, I don't even know please, but I really appreciate if you could give me an opportunity. All I'm asking for is and I'll be here on time. These sort of things, you're not born with that. You got to develop that.
Yeah.
That's soft skills. How to interact with people, how to judge or get a vibe off of someone and respond accordingly.
Yes.
If someone feels a bit aggy one day, you know not to press buttons or say things that might... All of these things, they're little things, but that's what life is made of. There's all of these interactions that isn't taught a lot in school that actually helps a lot in life.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing. I was just talking about the things that you would do if you're in this situation. It's just a lot of... It's not maths. It's not something you can just grab from a maths lesson. This is like life. And so I don't know if you got something to add to that.
I was talking to my TA a couple months ago, and I was thinking on planning a series of lessons to do with confidence.
Yeah.
And I haven't started it yet. That's because I was on holiday in Barbados. But I'm gonna really sit down and just really study on, because I teach 6 and 7 year olds. Why do they need TED Talks on confidence? Do you know what I'm saying? But that might be the difference between them saying, do you know what, I'm going to go and talk to the barber. Yeah. And again, that's just an example. But do you know what, I'm going to go and do it. Yeah. Morning, sir, how you doing? Yeah. Is everything all right? Good? Business going well? Listen, I've got this problem. And not just walking in with your head hung. Do you mind if you give me a job?
Yeah, I know that.
Walking in with confidence. Yeah. Like you say, yes, not entitled, but walking in with confidence. And I'm really excited about, like I said, because where I teach predominantly poor families, I'm really excited about teaching these children these skills. Yeah. Like you say, these soft skills. And I'm going to be setting up scenarios and shopkeeper situations and difficult situations. Yeah. And just teaching them how to handle these different situations. Sometimes when I come back from my lunch break into the classroom, and I've got to take the register again in the afternoon, and so my TA brings them back to class from lunch, and I get there just shortly after. So I'm walking, hey guys, how you doing? How was lunch? And there's one child. There's only one. And the other children have started following now. There's only one child. Every single day. Russell, we're fine, thanks. How are you? And listen, I rate it so much, and I take my hat off to the parent, because that's a soft skill.
Yeah.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Just that interaction in itself is something that opens up doors. Because how you doing? That's such a throwaway. Yeah, we saying you good? Yeah, cool. Boom, conversation done. And it might not be anything else said. We saying, yeah, I'm good. What are you saying? And then the conversation, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really looking forward to teaching just conversational etiquette and different things. The confidence series.
I think that's a big thing.
Because and so this child or this teenager that's written this question, it's a very deep situation, and we're not in that situation. So what we're saying is only advice. It's not from experience, and we completely understand that you're in a very, very difficult situation, but you're going to continue to be in the difficult situation until you do something about it.
Yeah, there's a couple of mindsets as well that I had in my head to say. And the first one is, because when you spoke about the generations thing, a lot of life is also seasonal.
Right.
Like, things change. The issue is, if you don't do anything, you can actually extend the season longer than it needs to be. Like what you're saying. Like, you're in this rut, and you can have 40, 50 years pass. The season was meant to pass back in 1985, but because you're so consumed with, oh, woe is me, oh, look at this situation, and you just keep it going. You keep that winter going on for global warming. You're just changing seasons right now. But in the same sense, you can make a season a lot shorter than it needs to be. Like, there's all... Not that you have the power to do and change everything, because, again, like you're saying, we're not in this situation. And so I don't want to make it seem like tomorrow your season's changed. It's not that at all. But there is a sense of you've got some sort of control in how this affects you, how long this really needs, especially the things that affect you. Like you said, you cry most nights. Like, that's something, maybe your dad not having enough money to put on the table, you can't change that. But there's a way to control the way you react to those sort of things. Like, you can, there's resources out there, there's people you can talk to, whatever, where you can make the nights that you cry shorter. You know, like that. Instead of letting it stretch for generations and generations. And then the last thing I wanted to say, which was similar to what I just said, was I remember someone using the analogy of poker in things like this, where the aim of poker is just to get the best set of cards out of a list of great cards you can get. But you can actually win the game without having those cards.
Right.
Because of the whole bluffing thing.
Yes.
So you can actually be dealt really bad cards.
Yes.
But the way you play the game, you just bluff your way to winning. And then the same is true that you can actually be given very good cards, and you get so gassed that, oh, I've got the ace or whatever, that you don't really play the hand that you have, and now you take it a bit lax, and all of a sudden you lose the game.
Yeah.
And so the whole point that he was trying to make is, it's not the cards you have, it's how you play the game. And so I see this question, and it sounds like a lot of bad cards, but luckily we're playing poker, so it doesn't really matter what cards you have. It matters how you're gonna play the game very different to how I'm gonna play it. We both have different cards, but you're gonna have to just understand, how do I play with this card?
Yes.
With the cards I've been dealt, how am I playing this? It might mean my brother or my sister or my friend is going to do something completely different because they've got their own deck of cards that they've got to deal with. But I've just got to look at my set of cards and say, all right, how am I going to play this? Because, like you said, easier said than done, but this game has got to be played. And we're going to play with or without you. But if you don't play, the game's going to be played. So either play the game or let the game play you and you're out very quickly. And so it's just this hard one where I hear it. It's really sad, and I wouldn't wish this on anyone. But at the same time, you have a great opportunity to have one of those stories that you tell to your kids. That, you know, and the last thing, a lot of immigrant parents, like my parents, have that, luckily, where a lot of us that your parents are from another country that have come can tell you stories of, I came with nothing, I had to do this, had to do that, and now look, Jeff, I'm able to. We just bought a house. My parents just bought a house recently. They're talking about remortgaging, and they have a house in Ghana. So all of these things are happening. But when they're telling me their story, I didn't know this. I mean, a couple of months ago, me and my sister went over, and they're telling me the cars they had. I'm talking about. I don't even want to say it because legally, I don't know if I can. I'm talking about cards that have been dealt that you think, wow, and look at where we are now. Because they weren't consumed about the cards, they were more consumed of, okay, how are we going to play this game? And I think that's what this person will have to do.
I was reading an article, and it was titled, "Nearly 68% of the world's richest people are self-made." Now, we're not talking about the person that's written this question. We're not talking about you becoming rich. Hey, if you become rich, remember the Common Room podcast. But that's not what we're talking about. But the point, I'll read the title again. Nearly 68% of the world's richest people are self-made. And the point that I'm making is that they weren't born into wealth. They may not have been poor, but they're self-made. And that means that one day they said, let me try this. Let me try that. Let me sell this. I've got this idea, let me do that. And over time, made their riches. But it just stemmed from one day where they took a step in one direction. And that direction may have worked, may not have worked. They turned around, they took a step in another direction. And so it's just about, like I said, just taking that step. And like Jeff saying, people have stories. People can sit in good positions now and tell stories of the past, but weren't always there, weren't always where they are now. And so that whole thing of being self-made, and I don't believe in completely self-made. I don't believe in that for anyone, because if you go to the barber and ask him if you can sweep his floor, you're not completely self-made, because the barber has helped you out. So you need people along the way, definitely. Make those connections. But my whole point, like I've said, at some point they just had to take that step. So.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, and so I just hope that whatever situation, and this may even go to someone that's not, it may not be the person that asked this question. Any young people, you're thinking, don't know what to do, I can't do this, I don't have enough money for this, my parents don't have money for this. You may not come from a wealthy background, you may do so, but you still may be stuck as to what to do. You're still young, and you've got time to make mistakes, make decision, and it doesn't work, turn around, take another step, doesn't work, turn in a different direction, try something different. You've still got time to do that. And so, yeah, I think opening it up to just more young people, just do it. just do it. And if it doesn't work, you're no worse off than what you were. And if it does, then great.
All right, well, we might as well not lie. This is an outro. You are at the end. And we want you to do what every YouTuber says. Like, comment, subscribe,
Share.
share.
Share's a big one, personally.
It
I
is.
think, but
We're
yeah.
trying to grow something. This is this common room thing is basically we're trying to help common people
Yeah.
get access to elite information
For free.
for free
At this stage.
for now.
For free for now, yeah. I like that.
But we're really trying to help. We both have a burden. Russell, we all three of us have a burden just to see normal people
Yeah.
get access to things that only money would really get. Big money would only really get you.
Absolutely.
So if you like what you're hearing, please share. Help this.
Yeah.
Help this out big time. Or if you've got a question, a thought, a comment, feel free to DM us, email us.
Yeah. Get in touch.
If you're brave enough to do it with your name on it,
Yeah.
comment down below. If not, then we got an email, tcrpod@outlook.com, or Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our handle is tcrukpod.
I'm also going to throw in as well, send in a voice note. Like if you want to send a question or again, a comment or anything of that nature, then send in a voice note, like you would. Record it and send it to us, and we will actually feature your voice note on the pod as well, and then respond. Do you know what I'm saying? So it would be great to hear from you guys a bit more live and direct as well.
Cool. All right, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see you then.